Hi everyone, hope you're all well. Just want to start off by saying thank you for clicking, welcome you to my channel. I'm going to be posting about self-improvement, finance and general health content now. Let's get into it. So there's a common misconception in our society that you cannot live a nice life and have luxury belongings on an average wage. In this video, I'm going to explain how you can. I promise you, if you watch to the end and actually take in everything I say and apply it to your life, you will not regret watching this, and it will save you a huge amount of money. And ultimately, if you take the advice on, you're going to be able to live a much more luxury life. Now, you're probably sat there asking yourself, how are you qualified to speak about this? Now, the truth is, I'm on the same journey as all of you and learning as I go by. I'm not a financial advisor, but I am a business owner who's made many mistakes, and I don't want you to make the same mistakes I have, and I've made this channel to teach you about that. I've also spoke to many wealthy people through my business. For context, I run a car detailing business, so when you have clients with very expensive cars, you get onto the topic of business because it's often a common interest, and I've had many tips from them, and this has allowed me to scale my business so much more than had I not had this advice, and it's allowed me to achieve, by my standards, success, or at least start the roadblock to success. Now, I've always had a scarcity mindset growing up. I grew up in a low to middle class environment, and I had limiting beliefs that I could only buy cheap, poor quality items, and this has ended up costing me in the long run. Any clothes I got broke, any electronics or equipment I got broke, so I've now had to replace items many times. But if I opted for the alternative, high quality, robust equipment and clothes, I could have kept them for years and still be able to break even or possibly even make a profit on them with the methods I'm going to show you in this video. I recently started a car valeting business around 6 months ago, and when I started, I bought cheap pressure washers, cheap equipment in general, and cloths. I've now been through several pressure washers and various other equipment because I thought I was saving money, but ultimately I was not. Now that I have higher quality tools and equipment, I can now be much more time efficient. I can also produce a better result and not have to turn down clients because my equipment is broken. And that caused me so much stress, money, customers, and could have led to me having an unreliable reputation. Now, I've gone over why you should not buy cheap, poor quality items. I'm now going to talk about how you can live a better life with more comfort and luxury for cheaper. My absolute number one tip for this is used marketplaces. In the UK here, we have Vinted and Facebook Marketplace, or at least these are ones I recommend to you. I know in America, I believe you have Craigslist, and I'm not really sure what else, but this can be applied to pretty much any marketplace, okay, physical or online. Also, you can do the same with auctions and car boots. On Vinted, you can pick up clothes worth literally more than £100 for sometimes just 5 to 10. And these will be high quality and have the same resale price that you bought them for, provided you shop around for a good deal. So this means if you ever do want to sell anything, you can get your money back or more. If you don't buy right, yeah, you could, or obviously if something happens to them, you could lose money, but it's not going to be a lot. And, in comparison to if you bought them new, as soon as you step out of that shop, probably 70% of the value of the item is gone. Now, getting on to my other point, on Facebook Marketplace, you can pick up equipment, tools, furniture, and pretty much anything for a very low price. of course, if you want to do this, it's going to also provide you with an opportunity for a side hustle. So if you want to make, well, you can scale it to anything really, but a couple £100 a month, possibly a week, it's definitely something to think about. Now, if you'd like a video on, because I've done this in the past, if you'd like a video on how to do that, then drop it down in the comments and I can definitely do that. Now, the stuff you can get on these platforms is not just cheap, low quality stuff. Of course, you can get that, but you can also opt for very high quality luxury items. And another one is cars. Now, with cars, be careful because this completely depends on the seller, how good you are at fixing them. Because what you can get on these platforms is people trying to get rid of a car that has issues. So make sure if you do, get into cars and equipment, stuff like that, you properly inspect it, look into seller, and typical issues with the model to look out for, so you can check that before purchasing. I wouldn't do this if you're buying something that's very expensive, but it's definitely something to think about. I got my car off of Facebook Marketplace for £850. It's a Polo, and it's been amazing. Perfect car for me, and is literally half of what it's going for in the typical car dealership. Now, I think with a car that cheap, if you know some basic mechanics, it's just not worth going to a dealership. If you spend 10 grand or more on a car, I get it. And if you want that peace of mind, you might be an old woman or old man that doesn't have much knowledge or about mechanics or can't do that, then I completely understand that. Just shop around for a good price is what I would say. Now, I'll give you an example of, find luxury items off Facebook Marketplace. I recently got a coffee machine for £200, and some of you might say, oh, that's not a lot of money and stuff. But actually, if you look at the world and the state some of the world is in, that is an incredible luxury. Now, I bought that for just £25 off Facebook Marketplace. I got it from a nice area. I looked into seller, and I tell you what, it's literally in perfect condition. A couple of scratches, small scratches, but honestly nothing noticeable really, unless you look under the right light. So these tips can also help you in business if you're just starting out, need equipment. Often businesses don't break even for a while. It's rare that you get profit in the first year, or sometimes in the first 2 years. But from me buying used but high quality equipment, I've managed to make thousands of profit in my first year, despite me having, the setup cost as well. Now, I see many people online hating about, luxury items and stuff and saying, oh, go drive around in a shitbox, go, live under your means. And I disagree. Why wouldn't you want to be in a nicer situation for the same price? Sometimes it can be cheaper. You can buy off these used marketplaces, right? And literally get stuff that is so much better quality and for so much cheaper. For example, I bought this is a bit back in the day, I bought a Razer Huntsman Tournament Edition keyboard. It was amazing, right? For £60. I ended up selling it for £80 after I'd got about 2-3 years used out of it. Anyway, so I made profit on that while using the item. It never had anything wrong with it. It was amazing. And then I thought, you know what? When I went on to buy a new keyboard, because I wanted a 60%, which, if you don't know what that is, that's like a small format keyboard. And so I got this £30, 60%, which everyone recommends. In the first month, there was several switches that broken. So pretty much I couldn't type. And the overall plasticky, the feel of it, and just the overall experience you get with that is just so much worse. And why wouldn't you instead opt for... So I then got a different keyboard. It was a similar price, about £35, right? So by that point, I'd spent £65, and I had the exact same issue on the second one. It lasted me about 1 or 2 months, right? And then when I went to sell them, I had no resale value on them. I had to throw them away because I physically could not sell them. They were broken, and because they were low quality, no one wants a broken low quality thing. People can fix up luxury things, and that's another thing. If you know how to fix something, you can get luxury items for cheap that are broken. But if you want a separate video on that, any guides, I can do that. But I'm not going to go into that in this video. Yeah, back onto my point. So I made money buying the high quality keyboard, and I spent £60 on that, sold it for £80. Now I spent £65 buying these 2 keyboards that were low quality and lasted me about a month. Keep in mind, the high quality keyboard lasted me 2 years with no issues. So I lost £65. They had no resale value, right? I had to throw them in the bin. So that can be applied to not just keyboards, but a lot of areas of your life. Don't think that the initial investment, which could be a little bit higher, don't be put off by that, right? Because you can save money in the long run, I promise you. Right, now, another thing I see is people online, like Brez Scales, doing wrong, that guy's made his money, But a lot of these influencers promoting wasting, or not wasting, but spending all your money, right? And just earning money, not saving anything. Now, I completely disagree with this. To be wealthy in the long run, right, you have to have the skill of being a master at not only earning, but also saving. For example, if you earn 150 grand a year compared to someone who earns 50 grand a year, at the end of the day, if you both end up saving the same amount, the person earning a lot more is not going to be any better off. Or they might have a flashy car that's going to depreciate, but yeah, they're still... When you get to retirement, you're going to look at your bank accounts and be like, well, it's the same. Someone worked that much harder for nothing because they have spent their money in that way. Now, another thing, right, is like people call wanting luxury items materialism, right? And to be honest, I think wanting nice things, there's nothing wrong with that. And whatever reason you're doing it for, I think in the end, if you can provide for your family, make your family proud, provide for yourself, be a person that people look up to, a role model, why wouldn't you want to be that person, Now, just getting on to my final points. Some people have an issue with buying used items, but to be honest, I've never understood this unless it is for reliability reasons. Like, you can literally clean stuff, and if you clean it properly, it's pretty much just as hygienic as buying a new one. So that's a poor excuse in my opinion. Also, make sure you're going for right sources when buying things. So make sure that you're shopping around for the best deal, especially if you're buying something new, right? See if you can get a coupon. Go on to comparison sites. That's a massive one, by the way. Comparison sites are pretty much going to show you the best deal you can get for the item or holiday, whatever. So yeah, I definitely recommend doing that. If you're going to buy something new, try to get some with at least a year's warranty. I would recommend, or more. Obviously, this doesn't apply to anything, but yeah. So that is it for this video, guys. To finish off, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. As a new YouTuber, just trying to get established, trying to make it on this platform. Literally watching to the end, subscribing, liking, it all helps so much. So I'd really appreciate it if you guys could do that for me. Now the game in the background is for Crewe Motorfest. If you're interested, please leave any feedback in the comments. It would really help, and if you click the bell icon, it will notify you whenever I put out a new video and really help me out. Now stay positive, guys. Keep going. Bye.